2, 1. And it's that time of day again. It's that time of the week. Welcome to the official McCoy podcast. Sorry for the delay. Had a big day yesterday. Stay tuned. I'll fill you up on all the juicy details. Today we also have an interview from a dear friend of mine, Ray Young. You'll hear him referred to as Yizzle. And as a part of the interview, which you'll see later on here on the official McCoy podcast, he provides some perspective on basketball coming back from the dead. A lot of interesting things are really, I don't really like to call it an interview. I like to call it a situation. It was more of a situation. It's just sometimes when you're present in life and you put boots on the ground, certain situations appear out of nowhere, and Ray was kind enough to really, help us out with the situation in a vulnerable space and provide some perspective on life and other things that matter to me. So shout out to Ray Young. You'll hear his interview later here on the official McCoy podcast. Excuse me, my tongue is a little tired this AM. But let's get straight into it. I'm going to lead with the NBA today. A lot of good stories in the NBA. Excuse that little loud smack I just did with that saliva in my mouth. Sometimes that irritates me too. So if you heard it, I apologize if you're just listening to the audio. Jimmy punked Minnesota and Jimmy punked Minnesota, Karl Anthony Towns, and not the city of Minnesota, but the organization as the Minnesota Timberwolves, and got to Philly, got to a contender. You know what I mean? It was brought over in a trade for Covington and Saric. It's a decent deal. Saric really wasn't having a great beginning to the year. Covington is a good rotational player. Jimmy Butler is, I guess, the third piece that they think they need in Philly. I'm happy for Jimmy. Yeah, I'm happy for anybody who can hold management under, hostage and get out of a poisonous situation and get to a contender. I ain't mad at it. What I am mad at is the Carmelo Anthony hate. Y'all need to stop it. Houston is expected to part ways with Carmelo Anthony. There's a lot of dirt being thrown on Melly's name, which I don't appreciate. You know what I mean? I understand everybody wanting Melo to accept a lesser role or, make a Tim Duncan or Vince Carter pivot and just be a rotational player. But at the end of the day, this is what happens with the NBA and sometimes the fans and sometimes the organizations when stars that have been put in roles as alpha scorers and guys who aren't asked to do a lot but score. You know what I mean? That's kind of hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow for AI. It's been a hard pill to swallow for Melo. And at the end of the day, we lost a lot of good years of Melo to that fiasco that we witnessed down there with PJ in New York. I think Melo was trying to do the right thing at the time, which was commit to basketball and the contract that he signed in New York. But things seemed to have went south when Melo didn't accept that trade to Boston when they wanted to free him out of New York. He wanted to remain, I guess, loyal to Phil, to the New York Knicks as an organization. He saw that as a good fit, him being winning a national championship at Syracuse and all. But didn't end up happening. We lost a lot of years of good Melo. What's next for Melo? I don't know. But you know what I mean? Melo is a first ballot Hall of Famer, whether you like it or not. He brought scoring back to the small forward position in the NBA. As far as I'm concerned, small forwards is more of a 3-and-D guys. Bruce Bowens. Start looking around at the threes around the league when Melo became in. Scoring was more at the 2s, the 4s, the 5 was were among the scoring leaders. The small forwards, aside from T-Mac and a couple handful of people, Melo really brought scoring and presence back to the small forward position. Should he make an adjustment if he wants to extend his career and play basketball? There obviously seems to be problems with Melo being the primary option as a scorer. He doesn't do a whole lot for you on defense, but who does with these miles on their body? It's something you have to take into account. Not every superstar. Just because you're a superstar, you start getting up there in age and miles, don't mean you can guard the best player every night and be asked to contribute on the offensive end. What you can do is help with defensive assignments and rotations and ask that people buy in to playing defense. But we all know ain't nobody trying to play no defense nowadays. Kids too scared to get crossed over or double hop travel back like Harden and Steph Curry. You know what I mean? That's what's wrong with the game now. That's what we're missing. Nobody plays defense. You know what I mean? If you play defense and you paid attention to your assignment and you watch films, you will start to find a lot of holes in a lot of people's games nowadays. But nobody's going to call these players on their bluff. You can't touch a guy out there if he's facing the basket. Scoring is up. They got an extra 20 possessions. So, I mean, you can't fault what's going on in the NBA right now, but at the same time, it's not a revolutionary thing that they're doing. You know what I mean? Steph hasn't changed the game that much. At the end of the day, the game is always going to be the game. The simple nuances and idiosyncrasies of basketball will never leave. You know what I mean? And you can't cheat the details. That's one thing I'll tell kids and even pros, because some kids are out here, and even pros, but paid a lot of money playing basketball, trying to cheat the details. Shit, I was guilty of trying to teach the details until I got over to some detail-oriented people like Phil Jackson's and Kobe Bryant's and Shaquille O'Neal's, people winning back-to-back championships. Rest in peace, Tex Winters. You get around to some detailed people, and you start seeing the advantages of being detailed and loving the process. Fall back in love with the process. Speaking of falling back in love with the process, Tyson Chandler, you know, made his way over back to the crib. You know, he went to Dominguez High School in Los Angeles. I think he won a couple state championships. Now he got out of that hellhole in Phoenix. Who we got to get Trev out of there too. Shout out to Trevor Ariza, my dog. We got to get him out of there too. They got Tyson out of there. We got to get Trevor back over to California. Phoenix is cool. That's closer on the West Coast, you know what I mean? But we got to, Trev deserves to retire in California. Anyway, Tyson Chandler looking good, man. Providing a veteran presence. Him and JaVale together make one good center. You know what I mean? That's all you can ask for at the end of the day is one good center, and they got height. You know, JaVale's taking this thing very seriously. Working on his body, you know what I mean? Playing more minutes, accepting a bigger physical load of responsibility. Then you got Tyson to come over there and blanch over the top of that, and you got you one good center that's going to work out for the Lakers. Maybe together they can be Andrew Bynum or Paul Gasol. You feel me? We need one tent pole center up in Los Angeles for this thing to work. And they're above 500 for the first time in 2 years. Stop acting like that's not a big deal. Cocky-ass Laker fans, and I'm one of them. We ain't got nothing to be cheering about. We above 500 for the first time in 2 years. And it took a damn King James coming over and Tyson Chandler. Nobody thought Tyson Chandler was going to come over and do what he's done, and I'm glad he did. But new update, Rondo just broke his hand, y'all. I just remembered. It just slapped me that Rondo just broke his hand. He's going to be out for 4 or 5 weeks. Who knows with the hand deal. They're weird, depending on how many hand injuries you had. So now we got to see what's going on with that. Is it Lonzo's time to shine and finally get his chance to prove his worth or, you know, show what type of basketball savant he is? It takes minutes. It takes time. Those times and minutes were being held up by Rondo. Not that it was a bad thing, but Rondo was a starting point guard, was he not? He wasn't? The ball was starting. But Rondo was playing deeper in the game. Which one would you rather do? Would you rather start or would you rather come off the bench and play deeper in the game? I'd rather come off the bench and play deeper than the game, you millennials. You're so fronting and worried about what's facing forward that sometimes you get short-sighted. If you're going to start the game, I've seen a lot of dudes start the game and end up with like 9 minutes played. I want to come off the bench and get them fourth quarter minutes. What you know about them fourth quarter minutes? Them first quarter minutes when everybody trying to get loose and the hot pack, you know, you see everybody with hot packs on and you got to come down after the workout that you did before the game. You know what I mean? First quarter minutes, unless you about to play the whole game, they're you know what I mean? And sometimes the first quarter minutes, if you're not ready for them, to have your ass out there anxious, fouling too much. Then you get taken out the game and you out of the rotation because you in foul trouble. Anyway, if you follow basketball, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. Fourth, ain't nothing wrong with coming off the bench and getting minutes in the fourth quarter or playing a longer duration of the game. There's trouble down. Well, not down. There's trouble up north. The Golden State Warriors. Draymond tripped out on KD. Y'all seen the video. Damn. Dre? Didn't this what KD left OKC for? He likes to hoop in peace. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, this is the same thing. I feel like he had a problem with Russell Westbrook. He doesn't respond to the homies talking down on him and calling him a bitch. Dre called him a bitch. Homie or not, you call me a bitch, it's going to take some time for me to repair that situation, right? At the end of the day, we're going to do some type of let's bring it back together. We're going to talk it out, but it's going to be off for a minute. That's a hard thing to come back from. You know what I mean? Especially in social media and how many cameras are inside of an NBA arena. If we family, you know what I mean? Don't be airing our business out in front of the public and throwing out words like bitch. We know KD about to leave. You know KD about to leave. You know what I mean? That's what it's had. And this is supposed to help him stay. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I love Draymond. Golden State Warriors don't get any of these championships without Draymond Green. Don't get it wrong. But Draymond shouldn't put himself in a position to put Bob Myers in a position to choose between him and Kevin Durant. Somebody got to go. Unless they do a new CBA, everybody can't get paid. Then you got Klay Thompson over there. Klay, if you watch the video. Klay don't look all too happy either that Draymond kicked the ball off his leg and they had to go to overtime when you got Kevin Durant, Steph Curry's, and Klay Thompson. But and shit, Sean Livingston's a good playmaker. This has happened before. We've seen this over the last 2 years. Draymond, and he does. He facilitates. He makes other people better. He's the good reason why he does that. That has won them a lot of championships. But I mean, I might have to defer to Kevin Durant. He's the ultimate fryer in the NBA. He's a specialist. You bought him to specialize in scoring or facilitating to the other scorers. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's a little bit of ego, a little bit of power struggle. It's spilled out. Everybody's like, it's November. What are you worried about? And everybody wants to, find some way to come at the Warriors. At the end of the day, they don't have veteran leadership in the locker room like Matt Barnes, like David West, like, I don't know, just go down the line. There's no veteran leadership down there on the end of that bench besides the starting five, and they're on the court. I don't know, but Boogie hasn't been put in a leadership position quite yet. So we don't know what that looks like. I'm sure he's doing a fantastic job in the locker room, but we don't know what that looks like as in regards to his leadership skills. So looks like they made up-ish. They're probably going to break bread. These things happen. You know what I mean? They haven't happened, on a national scale in front of television or social media like they did when I played, but they definitely happen. Teammates fight, like fight, not like play, fight, and argue. Like, we have fights that are drug on like through the year and could be rehashed right before All-Star break, after All-Star break, or right before the playoffs. Dudes scrap. Sometimes hands do come out. And in a perfect world, the babies wouldn't have to see that on social media and on the NBA broadcast. But in the real world in 2018, that's what we're looking at. Just a microcosm of what's going on in America, right? We got violence all over social media. You know what I mean? We got people being treated unfairly. We got people being called names, being bullied. So sometimes, sports and entertainment is a looking glass into what's going on into the United States of America. Bam, take that bar. Let's move on to NCAA men's basketball, where the only thing that matters is Zion Williamson. He's dominating the headlines. He's dominating the headlines. He had that nasty alley-oop and modified LeBron James dislocate your shoulder and put the ball behind your neck dunk. Used to be able to do that. It hurts too. Comes with a bill. Don't just think Zion out there doing all that crazy stuff and it don't be putting some added pressure on his joints and soft tissue, because it does happen. The only other is he the next NBA superstar? What is the next NBA superstar? Let's be honest. Zion Williams has not exhibited any transgenerational skills such as a Kevin Durant. I see him running and dunking at 6'7", 285, whatever his attributes are. But what's that mean at the end of the day? Is that what we're qualifying as the next NBA superstar, the dude who can run and jump the highest? I don't know if I'm rolling with that. Not especially after I seen what my eyes seen yesterday from a GOAT training two kids, and the level of simplicity was amazing. So I think Zion's in a good place. He's obviously over there with Coach K. Coach K going to put the fundamentals on top of him, tell him how to score in the 3-on-2, 2-on-1, tell him, not to jump to pass, you know what I mean? Tell him to make jump stops under pressure, free game. If you don't know all these stuff, these are the advantages of playing for Phil Jacksons and Coach Herrick's and Lenny Wilkins and old school OG coaches who preach fundamentals above all. It's technique, then effort. So I'm interested. We're seeing it. Have we seen a lot of technique? I mean, the technique is to jump and figure it out. I guess, you know what I mean? Everybody can't use that as a technique. You know what I mean? That's why he made a good decision of surrounding himself by other talented, skilled players at Duke, so that he can keep himself in the lane that he needs to project himself to the number one pick. Smart decision. Kids got some good advisement. Other only story about in college basketball, only thing that I cared about, I'm sorry, because Zion and Duke dominate, pretty much all the airtime. The other thing that was dope was the Memphis Tigers LSU game. Penny got them boys over there looking good. Questions about the suit. Questions about the Memphis Tiger checkerboard pattern on the suit, and it was too many people. But that's the Memphis vibe. It was like the Memphis street bully vibe on the bench. It looked like an old school Memphis player. It was one of the coaches. Mike Miller was over there looking like he had furs for sale. And you know what I mean? Sam Mitchell, of course, Sam Mitchell looked like a OG from any city that you've been in. It's like 50,000 NBA points on that bench over there. Good for Memphis. They had a lot of talent out there. They got a little bit outclassed by LSU. They was ranked 22. They were supposed to win. They was at the crib. Nas Reed. You want to see something funny and enjoyable? Watch Nas Reed play basketball. You know what I mean? I think he's part of the Filet fam. He's a man after my own heart. You know what I mean? He finds different ways to finish around the rim. No nonsense. I mean, he really is a treat to watch. I think he's popping on social media too because he's part of the Filet fam. But he can hoop. He reminds me, if he's kind of a throwback guy, he just gets it done without a lot of the old nonsense, without a lot of the new nonsense. Speaking of nonsense, the NCAA football year is getting close to a close. Are we getting close to bowls and all that good stuff and championships and all that good stuff? I know Zach Smith getting too close to Tom Herman. Zach Smith is bugging. If y'all don't remember who Zach Smith is, Zach Smith was the Ohio State guy that, what did he? He beat his wife? He beat his wife. He talked down on her. You know how it goes. You know what I mean? He's that guy. He out here talking down on Tom Herman. Breaking the G code. Talking about he seen Tom Herman cheat on his wife. Nobody asked you that. What's the problem with Tom Herman? He seemed to have he's keeping himself employed and out of the headlines. You know what I mean? Zach Smith, I try not to judge and say things that could be misconstrued just in case any of the babies are listening. But Zach Smith acting like he on that powder. If you check the times on his tweets, it's these random times and it's very anxious. Like, don't bring that over here, Zach. I like Herman's response. Yep, hook him. And I even think that was too much. But he had to in 2018. You can't just let fools just out here tweeting and saying anything about you. Sometimes you got to punch in and check in and let people know your response. His response was hook him. Damn. Bye-bye, Zach Smith. Go figure your life out. You know what I mean? Check on in to the Green Door in here at San Diego. You know what I mean? Do you some yoga. You know what I mean? If it's that powder that got your ass out there making these foolish mistakes, check, they got places for that. Leave that alone. Hernan cheats on his wife. I seen him. Who does that? Come on, dude. Fall asleep. Major League Baseball news. Bryce Harper turned down $300 million of them things. Agents say he want 400 to 500 of them things. Ooh. So where did they settle in at? Like 375, 425? Is Bryce Harper worth all that money? Hell no. Bryce Harper don't be up for the Triple Crown. That's a Triple Crown bag, is it not, Mr. Baseball Man? If I'm paying your ass $500 million, you competing for the Triple Crown every year. Now, when I be looking down at Bryce Harper's stats, what is he, like 270? That's a good year for him, 270, 280. He's really swinging the bat. He strikes out. He strikes out. He doesn't not strike out. He doesn't like always put the ball in the play. If I'm paying you $500 million, you're going to have to be like Tony Gwynn mixed with Barry Bonds mixed with Ricky Henderson, because I'm going to need some bases stolen for my $500 million. And I need some, you're going to need to be Mike Trout. Good call. Good call. And he's not Mike Trout. No, he hasn't been Mike Trouting. He's been Bryce Harpering, though. You know, he hits the balls at the right time, at the right distance to keep everybody's attention. NFL news. Sad-ass night on Monday Night Football. My 49ers couldn't even beat the Giants. I thought good buddy, what's the quarterback's name again? I thought Nick Mullins was going to channel up something and have us cracking. It was just the Giants and Eli. Eli decided he wanted to have a decent game. He had the game-winning drive. Low-key, they flashed that Eli graphic on game-winning drives. And he was up there with Tom and Aaron and like nobody else. Not Drew Brees, you know what I mean? It was Eli. So lay off Eli for a minute anyway. He beat my lowly 49. I don't even want to talk about that. The 49ers done. Monday Night Football is done. The Eagles are done. They lost to your boy and them. That's a tough pill to swallow, losing to the Cowboys right now, considering all that they got going on over there. But they lost. Eagles might be out of there. They might have drank too much punch, you know what I mean? Meek Mill ain't got no new song that they can vibe off of. You know, that song, that's an old wave. Meek Mill didn't put out no new product, you know what I mean, to get them gassed up in the pregame. So they stuck with that old wave. They lost the job. They got some injuries. Carson Wentz thing. Yeah, this is what happens when you win the Super Bowl if you're not the Patriots in them. Right? Couple free agency moves, couple injuries, and you're out of there. That's why you got to win it when you're there. Speaking of the Patriots, the Titans dealt with the Patriots in a major way. Then they start talking about that Tom Brady cliff thing because he had one bad game. He's going to have to deal with that every time he don't pass for 500 yards like that's normal. Anyway, I like what Deion Lewis said. Deion Lewis was on Instagram or so, whatever he was on, talking about that's what you get when you try to play cheap. Meaning the Patriots cut him because they wanted to be cheap. You know what I mean? And he ended up having a good game. When you do that and you perform right away, that's what they call a baller. That's what a baller is. It ain't got nothing to do with money and having a Rolls Royce. It's backing up your performance. It's channeling your deal, whatever it is, and backing it up with your performance. And particular times, if you're going to put something out there like that, you got to back it up. And he backed it up. Mahomes backing everybody up with throwing 31 touchdown passes through 10 games. That breaks the NFL single season record. It's week 10. We already talked about Mahomes here, though. We're big Mahomes components. We was fans before the season even jumped off here on the official McCoy, this thing that you're watching here now, the podcast thingy with the guy Jelani McCoy. He used to play sports, a little bit of sports. Anyway, we talked about him even before we had this. When we jumped this thing off, how he was a cheat code and how he's going to run through the NFL and he's doing what he said we was going to do. So I think sometimes we get things right, or we know what we're talking about. Larry Fitzgerald passed T.O. for second all-time in yardage in 15 seasons. That's crucial. Larry Fitzgerald's been around forever. He was outside, then he was inside. He's been in the slot at 6'4", 225, 230, whatever he is. He's on the Mount Rushmore for receivers and good guys of the NFL. You know what I mean? So whenever Larry Fitzgerald just seems to does it right at the end of the day. I wonder if he's got a clone or something. Anyway, moving right along, we're going to jump into the interview with Ray Yizzle. Now, this is something, like I said, it's a situation. Very raw, you know what I mean? Very vulnerable and very informative. So get into the video. He's our guest on the official McCoy podcast. Ray Young, a good friend of mine from Oakland, California, played at the University of California, Los Angeles after me, took my jersey number. That's something you'll find out later on in the interview. Part 1 will be on today. Part 2 will be on tomorrow. So make sure you check in. It's perspective at the end of the day. Perspective from somebody. I think you'll enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy fighting back some tears. Think he cried. I almost cried. Justin's a robot, so he didn't cry. The Westwood Legends. What is the group? What is the team we got in the tournament? Sons of Westwood.
No, I'm not trying to get to that level again. No.
Men's league?
Yeah, like that. I just need 2-3 days. Let me just blow off the steam, get bumped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fall down a couple times.
Jabs, grab a couple rebounds, push.
You know
push
what I mean?
a little bit.
You know how you actually emphasize. That's just a couple of them, and I'm out. Like, for real. Because now that I've been hurt, my ego for real ain't in it no more.
No, that's the big part. How old are you?
38.
I'm 40. And I had to dissociate my ego at about 37, 38. I was playing with the young boys, you know what I mean?
They humbled you quick.
I got hurt.
Okay.
Not only do you get hurt, you just realize just how in shape young motherfuckers is for no fucking reason.
It's the come down too. It's the come down like afterwards, and even like
recovery.
This is the worst I felt. Fast is the worst I felt. Like after I play now, I'd be like, oh shit.
Yeah, I need a couple of days.
Yeah. So like 3 times a week is good.
That's it. That's the level. And I just want to do a cut. Yeah, and I mean like a role. I mean like a real. I don't want to. I'm not carrying.
Are you playing a lot of minutes?
No, I'm a role player now.
You just getting in the swinging and getting it over to the other side.
Getting it swinging. My goal.
You're a facilitator.
My goal now is to be a facilitator and make the open shot.
But facilitators control the pace of the game.
I'm not a creator no more. There's no, a couple of dribbles, but no, I'm not.
Do you initiate the offense? Are you just running to the wing or burying yourself?
I'm trying to run to the wing now.
Yeah.
Oh, and in the corner.
But you're not looking to express yourself on the wing.
No, I'm not looking to express myself. If I can't get you with a hezzy, maybe an in and out, one dribble, I mean, that's it. I don't want to.
Are you playing a 24-hour fitness?
See, that's where your game gets bad though. So I'm trying to stay like just above 24,
Equinox?
but not like. Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like
Lifetime fitness,
something competitive.
With an executive, with the level of executiveness, with people in there that know how to act.
They just know how to act. They're not going. The one time that I got halfway hurt, broke my hand, it was a Rudy poo. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know the rules and regulations.
He didn't know his body in space.
Yeah.
Just goofy. Sometimes you can hit them with that high level, and then they don't move correctly.
Yeah.
And then you in the way, and you banging shins. And
you got football players playing basketball.
And ain't nobody got no time to play in the pads. Ain't nobody playing in the pads. They're not bringing the pad to the McDavids.
So that's just where I'm trying to get back.
I like the way you put it though. LA Fitness, you will be doing more than facilitating LA Fitness.
It's like just
would you play at a college? Like I play at USD with college kids, and sometimes I practice with the team. Last year before the UCLA game, I think it was last year or 2 years ago, I was supposed to be like Welsh. I was like Welsh, but I wasn't playing like Welsh. I was playing like UCLA me, and I was pretty much dominating the practice. At 38. You not trying to do that?
I don't think I want to get back there.
But
because then that's what I'm saying.
Your ego.
You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to be very cautious of when that hops in there. I know I need to fall back because my body has already given me signs we need to slow this shit
Are
down
you
a little bit.
are you cognizant of the markers of your body saying because of what happened to you?
No.
You want to talk about do you remember what happened to you?
I don't remember. I just know what was told, and I do remember waking up, but I don't remember. I don't remember any like the
What
week.
was
So
told?
basically-
What did Matt? Who told you, Matt?
Matt.
Yeah, he had bird's eye view because he was there.
He was there.
Yeah.
So we play in this league in Oakland. It's called.
So
Soldier
you had
Camp.
just your schedule, a little
It's
league
fine,
that you
right.
can control, that you knew the homies and you knew the league. And what was going
Everybody
on.
played somewhere. Everybody knows how to move.
Yeah.
It's competitive enough.
Yes.
You know, so
Yeah.
some days we're gonna be in there tripping.
Yeah.
And you know all of that, but
Yeah.
it's all love and all good. So basically, that was my normal routine: Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's all I got for you.
That's
Boom.
all you need.
That's it. That's all
Yeah.
Hey, don't holler at me on the weekends. I need
Nah.
all of that till Monday.
That's rejuvenation time.
Yes.
Yep.
Don't talk to me. I don't care about Saturday mornings. So basically, it was a Monday morning. I guess I did my same routine. And
I remember that. I remember the text message in the group chat with because he said he left his shoes. I don't know if you remember that in the group chat right before y'all said y'all was about to meet up. He said he left some shoes or he borrowed some shoes. Anyway, I remember that morning when you played because in the group chat he said something about he left some shoes or he had to go
or
get
he
some
needed
shoes.
Yep. Yeah, Matt was definitely always for sure because he probably just flew in or something.
Yeah.
So go to play, and basically they said I turned down a shot, and then you know
What you mean you turned down a shot? Like
so
when you
we're
kicked it?
playing. So they said it's the first game. They said we're playing. They kick it up to me,
Yeah.
and you know I normally do my little thing.
You express yourself.
Full expression, you know.
You're supposed to when they kick it up ahead
yeah,
to you.
Full,
Yeah.
I'm full expression, you know, Ray mode, right? And they said they knew something was wrong because they said I passed up the shot and kind of stood there and started holding my side, and I got a scar on my shoulder, and they said basically I just toppled over, boom. So Matt, I think Matt was on my team, so. And my high school point guard was also there.
Oh, you had two. So you had two.
I had real
homies,
ones.
but you had two real ones.
Real ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
It matters not panicking, old mofo. He don't
Yeah,
really
nah,
panic.
nah, he did.
Stays even killed.
From what I heard, he cussed the firefighters out because basically I had a sudden cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
It's called I have this thing called long QT syndrome.
There it goes.
Basically, just means like, you know, your heart beats boop boop flatline boop boop flatline, right? My flatline's a little bit longer, and because it's a little bit longer, if anything goes wrong or
don't catch.
yeah, if it don't catch, boom, and they don't no rhyme or reason. I'm supposed to be meeting with one of the top QT specialists from a guy I met in the cannabis industry because his son had the same thing. His son kept fainting in practice. And so basically, all it says is, "Hey, your heart's gonna stop for no rhyme, no reason."
Is this the same condition that is found in is this like the one that's found in all the African American or black males, or is this the different one than the age? I can't remember the initials, but yeah.
So basically, what I learned about the heart is you have about 70% of us have a heart murmur, right? Have some form of irregularity in your heartbeat, right?
Yeah, you're supposed to. We can't all be the same and have all the same heartbeat. That's just not how the universe is working nowadays. Everybody got their own beat.
Their own beat, right? So I don't have the African American one. I have the random. We don't know. My dad, my mom, nobody in our family's ever had. My QT thing is just a little bit longer than yours. It's weird.
And you are like a
I was a vegan
model health. You're like a vegan. You used to
I
be
was
a
the
human
yeah.
muscle. He had the big dumb calves when it was cool. You know what I mean? With
them shits are still huge though.
Yeah.
And what's funny is, right? You know, I was doing the whole vegetarian thing way back in the day. So when this happened, that's what really messed me up because I was like, well, damn, what else I got to do, right?
Yeah.
But after doing a little bit of research or whatever, it's just one of them things. Now, here's what's wild about the whole situation. Now, mind you, I don't know. I mean, I'm in a coma at this point, right? So I fall down, boom, miss a shot. Everybody comes up. They say I'm turning blue, so I'm not breathing. So they're doing mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Crazy enough, one of my high school rivals is there. Javon Harris played overseas in Mexico. He's half Mexican. He was the one that knew CPR, and the owner of the gym at the time, UCLA grad.
I heard about the UCLA grad. Yeah,
they knew CPR. They got me breathing for a second. Supposedly, this is all from Matt and everybody was there. They got me breathing for a second, and then I went back almost into like a coma state. So they had already called the firefighters, blah, blah, blah. Everybody told me Matt was cussing the firefighters out because they came in the gym. We're way on the other side, and they're walking. So, you know, Matt goes crazy.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
that's not.
I mean, you
can't
know,
condone that. You walking over to an emergency situation.
He was just like, "Yo, what in the world? Get your ass, you know,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
what
Do the emergency services thing.
Come on, dang, run your butt over there. Let's get to this." So, so what happened? They have a machine that automatically does CPR now. So they put me in that machine. And I started breathing again for a little bit, but then what would happen is it would just stop. So they supposedly rushed me to the hospital, and this is where they, I was already like in a coma, so they decided to induce me to a coma because your body, they say at that time, is in this fight or flight mode. It doesn't know, you know what I'm saying? So they're like, no. We actually need to turn this off to see if you can turn back on normally because oxygen is gone.
Yeah.
I had already turned blue.
Yeah.
I wasn't breathing. So anyway, they rushed me to the hospital. I have no consciousness of this, is what they're telling me. And what happened, they stuck a needle in my knee, or a drill. They drilled.
What?
Dude, listen, this is how wild it is to get to your heart. So think about it like this.
Is this a new procedure? Is this some new, or what?
No,
go ahead.
They basically said they needed to make sure that they went through an area that had nothing to do with my upper body because my heart had stopped. So they didn't know what could actually be affected. So they figured, hey, there's a vein that we can get into through your knee, and we can scope all the way up to see what the hell is going on with your heart. Like, why, you know.
This all on the court?
No, this is when I got to the hospital.
Oh, okay.
So this is all at the hospital. They drilled a hole in my knee so they could see what's going on in my heart. They didn't see anything. Nothing. And they go like, okay, well, they had told my parents, they were like, well, hey, look, to be real with you, sudden cardiac arrests are dangerous, and he really only has a 5% chance of even making it out of here. So that's the realness. So I don't know if you guys remember 2 years ago in the D League, there were 2 players that died just from this.
Yeah.
On the spot.
Bam! That's what's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
That's the likelihood of it. That's what's supposed to happen.
Hence why Matt Barnes wouldn't want nobody walking. Every second is crucial in a situation like that. You come candy ass in your ass in here. You're supposed to be emergency person. But anyway.
So yeah. They don't see anything. There's no clog. There's nothing around it. There's no shock. There's no anything that they can see is wrong.
And they're hitting you with the 5%.
And they're hitting my parents with the. They're hitting my parents. You know, my girl, my best friends. They had to tell the medical. This is what it says.
The diagnosis of what
5%, and then they said we don't know how much oxygen, he was losing because until we got him, on the breathing machine, he was in, I was in and out. I was turning blue, get some air, turn blue, get some, we don't know how that's going to come out. So he can come out, and everything's not firing. That's another reality. That's another reality.
Yeah.
Like it might not be firing. So funny, in the group chat, everybody was like, "Yo, this GoFundMe, what the fuck?" Well, what happened was one of my good friends was literally the general counsel of GoFundMe. My guy, my guy.
Yeah.
And what happened? He was there. He was one of the first people there. With my parents, once my girlfriend had, gave the word.
Yeah.
and he's hearing it.
Yeah.
So all the information that's being told to them from Stanford now. This is I'm at Stanford Care now, right? Yo, this don't look good.
Yeah.
My parents, luckily, obviously super religious. Shout out to Allen Temple Baptist Church. So they had a whole like thing, and my parents wasn't trying to hear none of that. Like nah. But I'm in a coma. Induced, so I was super cold. Still had that thing up my knee because they had to keep like going up there, like
seeing what's going on.
Like what the where did this come from? And they're like, yo, his heart looks better than all of ours. And
for real.
Like what's the we don't get it. So basically, 3 days in a coma. I wake up, and it's weird to talk about.
No, it's
you
not.
hear a little emotion.
Yeah,
super weird. So. Imagine you don't know none of this, and you literally wake up, and you got all this shit down your thing. My knee was hurting. I had no clue why. Like, what the, I was like, damn, I must have been, I knew I was like, oh, I was probably hooping. Cool. But funny, I wake up, and it was literally like a movie where you look down, like you realize, and, I typically steal just the kid in me, I still tried not to cuss around my parents, right?
Yeah.
Like, they ain't tripping, but, I try, right?
Yeah.
Man, I woke up and was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, man, what is good, man? And mind you, my memory, the last thing I remember was really from a week ago. Once I told them what I remembered.
Yeah.
So I'm freaking out.
Yeah.
Like, man, what's up? Well, ho. Yeah. And they, and they're like, 3 days. I'm combing out.
Yeah.
Out of here. We don't know the machine's breathing.
Yeah.
They don't know. He gonna get up when he get up, or he may not. We don't know.
Yeah.
5%. So
5%.
So basically, I just kept cussing. I didn't know what was going on. Last thing I remember was, come to find out, was like a week before. My family, I could see it in their eyes. They're happy, but they're shocked. Like, oh, okay. So I'm looking at that, and then that kind of makes me feel like, whoa,
what you mean?
Yeah, what you mean? What you surprised?
Man, what is good? Man, listen,
Yeah.
Can y'all? What happened? Can y'all get this off me? Like, and mind you, I'm kind of not drugged, but just.
You sedated, right?
Yeah, you kind of are.
Everything's
surreal right now. Like,
that's what it felt.
That was Way Young, part 1. Part 2 is coming on tomorrow, so make sure you stick with us or stay tuned. Tune back in, whatever you got to do. Download it, put it in the queue, whatever you got to do. Make sure you come back for part 2, the interview with Ray Yizzle, also known as Ray Young. That's his government name, is Ray Young. I know him as Ray Yizzle. Thank you again for that opportunity. Shout out to Ray Young and all the Los Angeles, California University, I said that backwards, basketball family. Now, for the culture update, and let me explain the culture update to you guys. There's things that's going on in the culture that I see, and culture adjacent. Things that's going on in the culture and culture adjacent updates and issues that I see going on. In today's culture update, naturally, we want to pray and send our thoughts out to everybody that's involved in the fires in Northern California and Los Angeles in the Valley. I think they're now firefighters, first responders, even inmates. California got inmates out there pitching in, trying to do what they can do to stop these fires. I thought that was very interesting, considering that a lot of the fires that they're putting out are like these $1 million homes being saved by firefighters and inmates. It's the American way. Anyway. Gun violence, a lot of gun violence, shootings. A lot of gun violence happening across the country. Speaking of gun violence, if you ever listen to Outkast, there's an Outkast lyric. Can't remember the album. It's where I think it's on AT Aliens. I believe it's either Big Boy or Andre 3000's. Something to the bars like, we ranting and raving about gats. N-word, they made them gats. They got some shit that'll blow out our back. Have a look at this video. We're around here thinking that, you know what I mean, guns and violence is the answer. Meanwhile, the government has invented its first laser. They got lasers now, y'all. We need to chill with all the gun violence and the silly little, at the end of the day, these are going to be peace shooters because they got lasers. Now, do you want them to come through the hood shooting proton packs and disintegrating people while we still messing around with pistols? This is what happens, y'all. We don't pay attention. We fight each other. Our primitive human minds still think violence is the way to go. We're still out here with the gun violence, jeopardizing our children, our way of life, and everything. Not that you shouldn't have a handgun. It's just not a good time to have one right now. And because it's not a good time, they got lasers. What happens if the company who made the lasers decide they're going to scale that down and give them to the police department? Then you're going to be judge, jury, sentencer. It's going to be Judge Dredd all in one spot. You're going to have the cop able to disintegrate you with a laser because you're running around here with a gun. That's my culture update. Stop with the guns because they got lasers now. It's not a game. It's never a game with your life. We need to heal our country so we can get away from people designing lasers to destroy people. And these lasers, they can like take half the room and leave the rest of the room, standing. It's gone too far. Violence is never the answer until it is. Don't tell anybody I said that. This has been the official McCoy podcast. Violence is never the answer. Stop making lasers. Stop with the gun violence. And come on with the loving. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks to Ray Young and everybody here at No Coast and Officialize for helping with this podcast. We'll see you next time.